Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our Wolverine Studios Twitch channel. I'm Gary, the developer of the basketball lines here at Wolverine Studios, and today, Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2023 hits first access, and we're having the special live stream tonight prior to the game going on sale for pre-order. And you can pre-order exclusively at wolverinestudios.com tonight. A couple minutes after the stream ends, the web store will go live, and that download will be available for you. And in the meantime, tonight we're going to kind of look at a last recap of some of the new features and talk about some things we haven't talked about yet on our streams. If you haven't checked out our blog after the stream is over, you might want to check that blog out, as we have a post in there detailing some of the new features in the game this year. And, for those of you who don't know, it's also posted in our forum. First Access is our answer to really casting a wider net for testing purposes in the final weeks up before a final launch. For us as a small company, we rely on our community to help us out down the stretch here. And in doing so, we offer you an opportunity to pre-order our games. You can get a discount. There'll be a discount code in the web store to save on the pre-order. Once you do that, you'll get your license key right away. You'll get the email with the link to the download for the first access version, and then beta updates will come along in the forum until the final release, at which point you upgrade to the full version, just like anybody else. And you also are eligible for a complimentary Steam key when the game is released on Steam. So even if you're a Steam player and you want the game on Steam, you can still pre-order from us, save a couple bucks, and then you'll get the Steam key when it's all said and done. For First Access pre-orders, they are available exclusively at wolverinestudios.com. There's no early access or first access on Steam. So let's get to it tonight. I'm glad to see some guys already here in the room. Hopefully we'll get some good chat going. First of all, a huge thank you to our subs. I don't think we've ever had this many subs to a channel. And I mean, for most people, the amount of subs we have is really small and it's pretty insignificant, but it's really awesome that we have subs, I think. So a huge shout out to our subs. Remember, if you have Amazon Prime and you link it with your Twitch account, you get one free sub a month. And if you use that sub on us, that helps us, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate the people who have done that. And definitely shout out to our community manager, C. Jackson Cowart, who has done a great job and continue to build our channel here. He comes live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. with his Draft Day Dynasty series. He's working on a college football Dynasty series right now. He will be off tomorrow, I believe, so there will be no Draft Day Dynasty stream this week, but C. Jackson will be back next week, bringing you the excitement of his seasons, and we'll have to get him going on a pro basketball series as well soon. Maybe we can get on to double up and get 2 a week going or something like that. We'll have to talk to him. Everybody beg him, okay? Tell him how much you want another series going. As for me, getting to First Access Day is always a big deal in all of our games, especially on the basketball titles, which I am the developer of. And so it's always exciting to get a new game out there and to get people's feedback and opinions and to see what they think. Remember, this is pre-launch, so it is a beta version. So during the course of the next couple of weeks while you're playing, there's always a chance you're going to hit bugs. I might even hit 1 or 2 tonight. Who knows? But that's the point of doing this first access, so we get some final testing with a bunch of people and a bunch of different machines. And just provide any feedback on the forums. We've got a first access forum open on our forums, and I'll check off the issues there as I fix them and roll out updates all the way to the final thing. So let's get going. Let's talk about some of the new things you can expect this year in Draft Day Sports Pro Basketball 2023. The first thing that we've talked about a little bit before is this badge system here, and you see. Right now I have a 0 on my badge. And the idea behind this year was to add in not only a different way for you to increase your skills over time, but to reward you for the things you do in the game. Now, some of these things are active active things you participate in. Some of them are just passive that you get rewarded based on the outcomes of your decisions, based on how good of a job you did with your team, whether you made the playoffs, you won the championship, you were terrible, whatever it is, you'll get a certain amount of points based on the success you had, which I think, as I think about it now, it makes a lot of sense to do it that way, because in the past you were just like a player. You had a potential and you had your current ratings, and every year you kind of worked towards hitting that potential. Now you don't have a potential. You can go all the way to hundreds and everything, but you've got to earn your way to do it. So in challenge mode, you start out with very basic skills. You start off with a 36 in all 5 skill areas, as you can see, and you start as a level 0. Every time you do something, over the course of the season, you'll gain points to upgrade, and then you can come to your office page here once you get 100, past the 100% meter. This button will light up that says Upgrade Skills, and you'll be able to start building up your skills. You'll be able to, advance kind of quickly at first as you kind of go through the more basic levels, and then to get to the elite levels, you're going to have to do elite things. You're going to have to win championships. You're going to have sustained success over a long period of time. So it's really going to be an interesting, thing, I think, going forward, and especially so that you'll be able to compare yourself really easily with every other coach and general manager in the league. So as I pull up the staff screen here, you can see I have a 0. I've done a season here where it's a fictional league, as always, for our streams, and there's no background, no history. So everybody, all the coaches and the GMs and stuff like that, are going to be fairly low. And then if you use the default or the mods where people put in real players and coaches and GMs and their histories and stuff like that, you'll see like the top guys start with really elite ratings and elite numbers there. So you'll be able to to target kind of the best of the bests as you go forward, and trying to catch them, trying to run down Pat Riley, Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich, all those types of things, and you'll be able to see as you go through your career how close you're getting to those things. So I mentioned that some of those rewards on your office page here will come from passive things, and they'll happen all season long. So every single game, a win, a loss, it's small things that are building up. It's not like you have to wait till the end of the season to upgrade your skills. It'll happen all season long. And obviously the reason you want to upgrade your skills is because as a general manager, your skills for basketball IQ, player development, evaluate potential, defensive and offensive knowledge, those cloud how you see the players, especially young players in the game, and rookies and stuff like that you're scouting. So obviously the better you make yourself over time, the better you'll be at those things. I did mention there are some active ways to increase that as well. And one of those things we showed off last time, but we'll do it again for anybody who hasn't checked it out, is the brand new press conference feature. So you'll just go to the top of the screen and click this microphone icon for press conference. The game will only let you do a press conference every so many days. You can't just non-stop them and try to build yourself up. But you can go to this press conference screen anytime it's available and have a press conference. What the press conference will do is it's going to replace what used to come through emails. So in the prior version, you used to get some emails sporadically through the season that said, what do you think about such and such's play? And you would have the opportunity to respond, but you had to do it on that day. If you went past the day, then you missed the chance to respond. So this way, I think this is a big improvement, because now you control how often you want to do this. And the press conferences not only build up your skills, but they also have a chance for you to help problems on your team, or maybe even create problems on your team, depending on how you answer. So let's take a look at that. And got a couple of guys in the chat already asking questions. Jeannie Breeze, it's always good to see you guys. Kid Coffee Black, longtime fans there. Great to see you guys. A first-time chat from Tacoma Nomad 1820. Will the college game take on the same coaching framework as the pro with no potential? Right now, that's not the plan, because it doesn't have the same features for some of these things. And that might change. That might change. I haven't fully decided yet on the things like that for the college game. I guess I'll see what kind of feedback we get to this as well, and see. But it might change, and it might evolve or be a different format maybe, because I think the idea behind it is good. You'll want to chase down Coach K's, stuff like that with your coach. But I think we'll have to have some tweaks and some on how things work if I want to make it happen. But it's on the table. It's something to think about. Let's fire up a press conference here. And the press conference gives you an option to answer 1, 2, or 3 questions, however many you want to keep pushing your luck for, really. So the question comes in at the bottom. Would you say that Keith Stanley is providing what you hoped he would this season? And each one of these responses, as I mentioned before, has a different impact, a different weight. You can really prop the guy up and say he's having, an even better season than I expected, and he's been amazing. You could really run him down and say he's had a rough season. I hope he can turn things around because we need him to be better, and everything in between. So you have a variety of options of ways to answer this question, and depending on the player involved, you're going to have to know your players. And it's the basketball, we have short rosters. You can you get to know your players over time. So I'm just going to take kind of the middle of the road here and say he's doing just what I expected he would, and he does not seem impacted by your comments. So it didn't upset him. It didn't, I didn't try to build him up. I didn't tear him down, and he didn't really care that I didn't answer the question. Let's take another question. The team is struggling a little this year. Is that on Coach Brian Lee, or is it more than just that? So it's not only the potential to upset players or make players happy, it's the same with your coach as well. I can stick up for him right now and tell him that tell everybody he's my guy, give him that vote of confidence. If my job is in jeopardy with the owner, I can throw the coach under the bus right now and start laying the groundwork to be able to tell the owner that hey, that guy's got to go, not me. I think the team was 5-5 in the sim. It's still pretty early. I think I'll take the team route here and say that it's not just his fault. Everyone needs to do a better job. And most of the team has a positive reaction. But the players who don't normally get along with me anyways, or get along with the coach, are suspicious of the coach being on your side of things. So, defending everybody and kind of also saying it's everybody's fault, that wasn't such a great call for the players who don't like the coach already. They wanted me to take their side and, start laying the groundwork to get rid of the coach. So all of these things, have an option and a possibility of something good, something bad happening, or something that, no change at all. So it's not like you can just run through this and build everybody up and no consequences and kind of exploit this, and at the same time it's not guaranteed to do terrible things either to you. As you can see now, my skills towards the next upgrade went from 37 to 57 just by answering those 2 questions. So early on, as I said, it'll be easy to get those upgrades, and then later on it'll take more and more items to be able to acquire another upgrade and another badge level. Jeannie asks, will the press conference be in the league news? They don't appear in the league news at all. That's something we could look at adding. During first access, in addition to reporting bugs, I always like to take, ideas. If they're small, workable ideas, I'll add them in the final weeks. If they're big, huge, grand ideas, I will still appreciate them and add them to the list of things for next version. In addition to the press conference, if you go to the Play Sim screen now, there is a brand new blue button up here in the corner that says Play Daily Draft. Daily Draft is a built-in daily fantasy game for the league. What this does is you can play, every single day. You can play never. Same thing with the press conferences. As you can see now, the press conference is grayed out. I can't do another one for, I think, maybe 10 days or something like that. You don't have to do the press conferences. If you don't do press conferences, it won't affect anything. It'll just go on like you did in the past when you just would sim and go past the questions that came in your email box, sometimes not even knowing. So same thing with daily draft. If you have no interest in playing fantasy basketball and no interest in trying to improve your coach or your GM character faster, no worries. If you do, you have the opportunity every day to earn small upgrade points towards making your GM better. Why does that, why fantasy basketball for that? Well, in order to do it, you have to do research. You have to learn about the other players in the league. Obviously, if you're using an NBA modded league or something like that, it'll be a little bit easier to know who the players are and what they are. If you're playing a fictional league, you're really going to have to get in there and check out other rosters, check out players, kind of figure things out. And it's really, asking you to put in more effort into being involved and immersed in your game world and giving you a little reward for doing so. So let's kind of check it out and see what it's all about. So all you have to do is every day before the sim, obviously you can't do it just like in real life once one of the games has started. You just click this button and it's going to give you this screen here. So the goal for right now is to score more than 300 points. And if you do, you earn progress towards your next upgrade level for your player. It tells you you need 2 point guards, 2 shooting guards, 2 small forwards, 2 power forwards, and a center. You have $50,000 in daily draft salary to spend, and there's your scoring totals. So it's much like if you are used to playing, other fantasy games, FanDuel, DraftKings, all that kind of stuff, Yahoo. You just pick your lineup for the day and see if their fantasy points, if they score enough points that day to win you the prize. Same thing's going to happen here. You'll go through and you'll just select, whatever players you want. You highlight a player, make sure you've got the right spot for him, and then you just click the add button and in he goes. I'm not going to spend a ton of time going through it right now, but you just go through and you can choose, your own players. Obviously, you can choose other teams' players, whoever you want every single day, and you just go through it and make your lineup just like you would. You get the fantasy points per game here, and their salary is obviously based on later in the season, strictly on the fantasy points per game. Early on, it's kind of a mixture of fantasy points and expected output and ratings. Take my guy Greg Carter there. I've take my guy again there. I'm just adding guys kind of at random here. How much do I? Well, it's too much. Way too much salary. You got to pay attention to what you're doing here. Clear out some of this expensive salary I added on. I can do that. 4,200. So there we go. Get power forward. Click David Dunn. All right, so I've got my lineup. I spent all my daily salary on it. I click submit lineup, and we're good to go. We can just go back to the game screen if we want to do anything. Now, if you scroll away from the game, it'll ask you to do it again. So make sure you do it prior to simming the games for the day, and that way it'll lock in. Before we sim the day's games, Breeze asks if we are managing our NBA team, is it possible to do the D-League draft like years ago? If you're in control of it, then yes, you should be able to do the D-League draft. If you're not controlling your D-League squad, then it'll do it for you. And Super Bowl Steve says, howdy, first time chat. Welcome, Super Bowl Steve. Glad to have you as part of our chat here. So let's just sim today and see what happens. The daily draft results for the day, my team scored a whopping 267.8 points. So I do not win. I did not score the 300 target for the day. course, if you actually spend some time with it and kind of analyze the players and salaries and see who might be a good deal that day, or figure out who's injured, just like you do in real life, figure out who's injured, who's going to get minutes that game that normally doesn't, all that kind of stuff. Um, you know, you can go in there and you can probably score the 300 points to win. I didn't. But it's, a brand new edition. Again, totally optional whether you want to or not. That's up to you. But I think it's a fun edition, and I think it really, really drives home the idea of getting to know who's in your league, getting to know, the different players, learning about them. As I said, going around seeing who's injured, it just gives you a reason to get really, really involved in your game world. And I think that I think that's going to be a big winner for players who like to just lose themselves in the game. I'm going to show everybody what Breeze was talking about. One thing I want to pull up, though, is on the trade player screen for everybody who's asked me for years and years and years. Now you can click on player cards and bring them up on the trade screen. So for everybody who's wanted that for years, there you go. It's working now. I finally got it to work. Not a mind-blowing addition to the game, but it was a big ask for a couple of years now, and it's happened. You can also see now on the player rating screen, there's some new ratings. Mid-range shooting and clutch scoring have been added to the game. Obviously, those are pretty self-explanatory for mid-range shooting. That way, when you look at something like inside shooting, it's really, how well is that guy finishing at the rim or next to the basket versus the mid-range where he's, maybe even in the paint still or just outside the paint and between the three-point line. That will give you a better idea. That clutch scoring is mimicking kind of the stats in the NBA, where I believe it's the last 5 minutes of the game that they count towards clutch scoring or something like that. The same thing takes place here. The last 5 minutes of the game, that clutch scoring rating comes into effect, and it does have a small, plus or minus outcome in scoring down the stretch. So you'll want to be aware of who your clutch players are and work to get them on the floor at the end of the game. Tacoma Nomad says, I assume endurance should be athleticism. No, the athleticism rating is not used in pro basketball as it is in the college game, because the athleticism rating in the college game is primarily for the different presses and traps, which obviously are not present in the pro version of the game. So the athleticism is really not a thing here, especially because it would be such a hard thing to model, because all pro players are pretty athletic for the most part. There's really not a difference in the worst team to the best team in terms of athletes. Obviously, you look at some guy like Boban versus whatever Ja Morant, you're going to say, yeah, Ja Morant's way more athletic. Sure, but in the college game, that athletic, really has a difference between a top player and a low-level college player. There's really a world of difference in that player, and it's kind of what it signifies there. Let's see. MN Chiller says, thanks for that feature ad. No problem. NBA Corbin, first time chat, welcome. Says, will you guys ever make this game mobile? Maybe a deep dive version for the phone? Probably not, I would say. I don't think that a mobile app could handle the amount of data and stuff like that, and I don't really have a ton of interest in watering it down to do a mobile version. So that's probably not something that's on the horizon. And before anybody asks about Mac, we still don't have the ability to go direct to Mac, but we do have a lot of people who play on the Mac. All you have to do is be able to run Windows. So if you have a program like Parallels, or I know a lot of people use VM Fusion, and I think they have even told me that VM Fusion has a free version, that you can use that to run Windows, and then you can play our games on a Mac that way. Back to Breeze, who asked about doing the D-League draft. If you go on your roster page, as well as the depth page, there's options that say Manage D-League Affiliate Roster, and if you click that, the next time it will say stop managing, so I can stop managing again. If you have these things turned on where you manage that and you go to the depth chart screen, there's the manage D-League affiliate depth. If you turn those things on, then you get to manage those sections for your D-League team. So if you just care about the players and not who's playing, then only turn on the manage the roster part. If you want to control who's getting minutes in the D-League, then turn on the manage D-League affiliate depth as well. Just be aware that if you turn those things on, you have to manage them. So there's always during every season, I get a couple of emails and they'll say that the game is stopped because the D-League game won't sim because there's a problem with the depth chart. And always the problem is that they turned on managing those things. So if you turn them on, you have to be responsible for making sure there's enough players, making sure that the injured players aren't in the lineup or starting, and making sure the depth chart is full. So that's your job if you turn those things on. So you can manage it all if you want to, and some people want to. They want control over everything with it. So if you turn those things on, be aware that you have to keep up with them and keep managing them. Otherwise, you'll hit a stop just like you would if it was your team. The NBA Corbin also says, just interested being a mobile game myself. A gamer does a lot of BBG on the phone. This is definitely designed for a PC. It needs the power of a PC because there's so much depth and the almanac and the stuff. If you're new to this series and you're kind of interested in the game, if you go to our website, we have a free demo section. You can still download the demo from 2022 if you want to check it out and kind of just play with the game and see what it's all about, and then decide whether you want to pre-order 2023 or not. Or if you want to wait, like I said right at the start, there will be a demo of 2023 when the game is launched in like 3 weeks. So, if you're on the fence, if you want to see for think about it, wait and then try that demo and check it out. I'm glad to have you here. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. We can always, we have a Discord that Jackson runs, the forums, Slack, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're all over the place. We'll see your question eventually and always get back to you with an answer. Okay, let's move on to kind of where a lot of the time was spent this year, and that is the 2D mode. So I'm going to set up a 2D game here. You'll notice here now that the icons appeared with the jerseys. I've added each team the ability to have a second alternate now. And for the modders, hey, there's a whole new world to mod this year. The logos and stuff will stay the same. The face packs that were done by GM Games, I'm pretty sure he's working on another one for this year. Those dimensions have stayed the same. There are new things to mod in terms of jerseys and the courts. And there are details on that on our forums. We have a mod section of the forums, and there's instructions there, graphic sizes, and if you want to get into the courts, you can email me, and I can kind of talk to you about the template that we have for that. But this is brand new, so you'll have the opportunity to choose whatever jersey you want to play with. We've got alternates, just regular away, and you can choose for the computer as well what jersey they're going to wear. Starting lineup page, that looks the same as before. And we're going to go to the tip-off. And here is the brand new awesome 2D screen. So gone is the overhead view with the squares moving around. And now we're going to try to give you something more exciting to watch. And that was really the idea behind this, is that, I wanted it to be something that you wanted to watch and possibly even stream, things like that, and give something that not only you'll be interested in watching, but hopefully other people will be interested in watching you play and stream and put on YouTube and all kinds of stuff like that. So we have rebuilt everything here for a better experience. And it's look, we're never going to be 2K and EA and have amazing jaw-dropping 3D graphics and stuff like that. It's just never going to happen unless one of them buys us out or something. But for what we can do is we can give you a better viewing experience, and I think this is an opportunity to do that. So there's a lot going on here. If you're familiar with the game before, this will be, totally brand new, looking at this. And if you're brand new to the game, I hope it's a good first impression. So one of the things that I built back in here is a crowd. The crowd will populate for each game based on your team's record as well as the overall popularity of your team. So you can see Miami here. There's a bunch of empty seats in the crowd, so the fans are not excited, obviously, about coming out for the season this year. If you have a great team or a great matchup, you'll see that crowd full. So you'll get kind of a view every single game of something more realistic. Over here, we have, let's start at the top. We have the options for play, pause, fast forward, which will stop all the movement on the screen and just advance the game much more quickly. So if you want to do that, you can try to jump in later on. The ability to slow speed and increase speed. I always like to use 6 or 7. This gives you the options that you can change, whether you want to have auto sub. I'm going to turn off the game sounds for this. The pause that stops and show the halftime report. And then you can click this button here and get the whole play-by-play log for the game if you want to see that. You have the opportunity to toggle back and forth between teams, although there is really no reason to toggle to, the AI run team. It would only be if it was like a hot seat multiplayer game that you would need to toggle back and forth. And let's go over the options here. The first one is grayed out at the moment because there's no play going on. That is your timeout button. And when you roll over active buttons, you'll get a reminder of what they do as well. There's your option to work the ref, yell at the ref, or confront the ref. If you click offense, it will give you your offensive style here that you want to choose, your level of pace, your desire to crash the boards, if you want to focus on threes, if you want to go 2 for 1, if you want to hold for the last shot. Defense, these are your man-to-man options. And again, these can be set to in your strategy page. Straight man-to-man, if you want to switch, if you want to attack, if you want to be passive. How often you want to use zone, how often you want to crash the boards, how often you want to play full court, how high you want the intensity to be. And then you can check this box if you need to get an intentional foul. Matchups, same thing. You can assign who you want guarding everybody and whether you want to double team them. If you click this, players, you'll bring up the roster right there, and you can get to player cards from there as well if you need to. So you can see all the ratings there. The next button is the game stats. You can pull up the full stats for everybody. So if you're familiar with the game, usually you had to go to another screen to get to some of these things. Now we've got it all right here. Even making subs, obviously you have to wait till a dead ball, but the subs right here gives you basic information, energy, the minutes, points, fouls. If you want the full stats or you want the ratings, you've got them here and here. And you also have your timeout strategy here when there's a timeout, so you can set up a play or choose a basic play or something like that. So all of that is here now. There's no need to go to another screen. There's no need to leave. There's no need to do any of that. You can see it all right here as the game happens. So let's start the game up and let you guys get a look at what goes on. And I will take some of the questions that are in the chat. I appreciate the comments of the people who say that this is really nice and it's cool and that kind of stuff. Eventually I asked, do we get animated dunks? That's something I'm thinking about working with. Again, it's, I'm working within the limitations of what we've got here. But there may be some way to show that better than what it does right now. And this will be a process, kind of feeling out ideas, kind of seeing what people like, what they don't like. In fact, I'm going to turn off so that the game can play while I'm talking through things here. I'm open to ideas. Obviously, this started from a conversation I had with somebody way back months and months ago about how this could look better. And hopefully I've surpassed his expectations. And as it goes on, I'll take feedback. I'll see what people like, what they don't like. The players, you'll notice, they have different skin tones, and that bounced funny off the rim or something there. There'll probably be some things like that that we discover as we go through first access where an animation wasn't. Um, but the skin tones for the players will match their face skin tone from the game, the pictures that are defaulted into the game. If you're using things where a player has no face, then the icon will not have. It'll have a the dark gray, blackish, um, or to match the default no face picture. So that can be modded. You can mod those individually through the commissioner office on the edit player screen. If somebody creates like a full league mod or something and wants to assign those all in the database, they can do that as well. And then players from a mod will have skin tones as well. Hi, Prestige 3, first time chat, welcome. Thank you for joining us here. Great game as always. I always play with CB and PD connected. I've been running into this issue where college players are not turning a year older. It works fine after the first season, but every season onwards, I have to manually go through. That's a new one for me. I'm going to take that down, and I'll have to look at that through. I don't know which end that's on, if it's a pro basketball or a college basketball issue, but I will take a look at it. Jeannie asked, if you're playing the 2D version with both teams on AI control, how do the team views show up on the left? They would show up blank like this for both teams. You'll be able to open the players and the stats to see the ratings if you want to, or the stats for the game, but you won't have access to any of the other buttons. So none of that will be available to you if it's AI versus AI, or if it's your team but you set it to AI control so you can just watch. None of that will be available unless you're actually controlling the team. There's a block shot there. My big center, Carrera. First time chat from Absurd Doctor. Welcome. A new follower as well. Thank you for that. Is crowd size based on your team performance, popularity, or the home teams? Yep. As I mentioned earlier, the crowd size is based on the home team's popularity, as well as a slight boost if a popular away team comes to town. So on the screen, you still have the kind of abbreviated play-by-play. Down in the right corner, you've got the on-the-floor stats for the players, as well as their energy levels. Just a little bit to 7. And I've watched a number of these games. There's a miss on a 3, and it's for me, it is a lot more exciting to watch this as opposed to now when I look back and see the squares moving around on the screen on last year's pro basketball or college basketball. This is a lot more exciting and has a lot more potential, I would say. For all of you college basketball fans, this will be coming to college basketball as well as the ability there to mod everything. So if you are interested in modding, even if you're not a pro hoops fan but a college fan, you could grab the mod stuff from the mod forum and start working on things for college basketball. Obviously, the college game is always kind of a first access launch February-ish, or even sometimes January-ish, with the final release in late February, early March. So you can definitely get a head start on some of that, because obviously there are way more college teams and courts and things like that if you want to mod those. I'm hoping that the mod community will show up as strong as it always has in all of our games. And I know it might take some time. And I know that, the one thing I did kind of think about before I doing this was the mod community and how much time people spent into courts and things like that. And I did weigh that, before making such a drastic change. But I think this is such a good change, an important change for the games that we had to do it. And the default graphics that come with it are really good. I spent a lot of time, developing them, trying to make them look good for you, and hopefully the mod community will come through with something even better, as they always do. So, counting on you, mod community, to eventually do something really cool with this. Jeannie asks, are the graphics on the scoreboard random? And MN Chiller says he just noticed that the scores table graphics changes. Those are not random. Those are built into the game. Obviously, promoting things within the game. I may add to that over time, whether it's making up fake ads or something like that, or even if there's real companies that wish to advertise and get your brand in front of basketball enthusiasts and stuff like that. That may be an option down the road as well. But I did it that way so that it increases the realism and gives you something else going on during the course of the game. Obviously, I'm trying to make it look as good as possible for not only what our limitations are, but also what's kind of reasonable to. I do have the sound turned off right now for anybody, just so that people aren't getting the game sounds blasted through the microphone here on Twitch. But there are game sounds you can turn on as well, as there always have been, for the ref's whistle and player chatter and the ball hitting the rim or the net or whatever, cheering and stuff like that. And again, if you see something here that you think would be a cool addition, suggest it, throw it out there, for me. And that just earlier about seeing players dunk or some kind of special thing for that. That's a cool idea. I've showed this a couple of people privately, and one person mentioned the crowd. They were definitely impressed that the crowd changes based on the game. So that'll be cool. There may be opportunities to kind of make the crowd react to certain things or stuff like that. To possibly put the models on the sidelines for the coaches or the players or all kinds of things like that. I don't know if somebody has an idea on doing something on the sidelines for putting fans there. Hey, the game has always gotten better with feedback, so I'm not opposed to feedback at all. I'll always do the absolute best that I can to, at the very least, listen, but implement what I can and kind of work towards things I think will be good for the game in the long run. And of course, at the top, you get the messages as well about players, or coaches, and if they're complaining to the refs and things like that. And then down in the left corner, you get the player picture that comes up when somebody makes a basket or gets a rebound or something like that. So a lot of opportunities to, again, learn about the players as you watch them, not just on your team, but on the opposing teams. And with the modded packs that are out there already that I know people have done for faces and things like that, those will all be down there. And I think it's really, it's really this is the thing I was most excited about with the game this year. And obviously you can tell spent a lot of the development time doing, because I felt it was the area of the game that really needed the biggest upgrade. The sim engine has always been really, really good. We spent the past couple years fleshing out the players, giving them new ratings, giving them personalities, giving them specific styles of play, so that you have multiple different types of players. It's not just a grab the highest overall rated guy game. We've done all that, so all that stuff under the hood is really, really good in this game and has been for a long time. and the AI is smart with trades and stuff like that. So I really wanted to do something that kind of boosted the visual presentation and actually made you want to watch your games or stream them or play them or anything like that to give you an opportunity, because we are starting to find more and more people who are either doing YouTube let's plays or dynasties or stuff like that, or they're even streaming on Twitch like Jackson is every week with his Draft Day Dynasty series for us. So I want to give you something that you can stream and you can show off and have people you know come to your streams and watch. Jeannie asks if there's a way to make the player's height and size different. I haven't done that. It's something I can look into doing. I thought about doing it. One thing I was concerned about was how the jerseys would show, because obviously there's not a lot of space per guy there, and you've got the number and the kind of the jersey taking up a decent amount of room. So I didn't know how detailed I wanted to get, how far I wanted to get into that, because they would probably have to work on changing sizes like that, and but it's definitely an idea. It's something I can look at and play around with. Obviously, the biggest challenge was just getting it working and getting the concept in this year, and it's something that I will build on going forward for sure. And eventually, there'll be opportunities to make it look even better. I think, and as I learn about new techniques and new things I can do with it. Even just recently in the development, I kind of worked on a dribbling sequence here, as you see Finley bring the ball up before he was fouled there. So that if you remember way back when I first showed this off back in like May for Wolverine Day, the players, it didn't look anywhere near this good, and the players kind of like moved with the ball, like they traveled the whole time, and I thought that that was okay, but it looked kind of strange. So I worked on at least having some sort of like attempt at dribbling, so you could see that they just weren't running around with the basketball. Let's see. iPrestige says, suggestion there should be a page that lists every team's player currently on the trade block instead of having to go through each team's page in the trade section. And MN Schiller says he agrees with that, and that already exists actually. In which it's funny. There's so much in the game, I think, that people haven't had the opportunity maybe to check it all out. If you go to the search page and look at everybody in the league, there is a column there with the trade block, so you can see all the players who are on the trade block just by looking at the search page. If you haven't spent time with the almanac or the league media screens, do it. The team history, team info, there's so much detail stored in there that it will you can spend hours just going through that once you've got some history in your league, just kind of thinking about old seasons and stuff like that. And as Prestige says, yeah, I'm right. Laugh out loud. Yeah, I mean that's it's been there, and there's a lot of things like that. So if you're thinking about something, go ahead and ask. No problem in asking, and obviously no issues in pointing out stuff that's there. And I'm glad to do it so that everybody can enjoy the game more. As you're playing here too, I mentioned earlier, you can speed it up, slow it down. Even if you want to get in and start it and then pause it, you have to pause first and then do the fast forward. If your style is like fast forward it to like the fourth quarter and then take over from there, you can do that. There's a lot of options to kind of make this the most enjoyable experience possible for you. We are coming into the final 2 minutes of the first quarter here. And again, if you want it to move faster, you can always turn the speed up. I kind of like this speed when I'm playing, which is at 6 or 7, because it kind of gives me an opportunity to watch the flow of the game and also kind of be checking around as things go on. Who's tired, who needs a sub, and things like that. And obviously, if you refresh the sub screen there, I can see here whose energy is low and it's going to be needed sub soon as Lawson and Carter and Carrera. Almost all my starters have played the entire quarter so far. I Prestige asks league-wide sortable advanced miscellaneous shooting stats so we compare them with other players and other teams. I don't think there's anything league-wide to look at that. But again, always can be adding stuff. That's the great thing about this game is that there's such a strong base to work from. People start asking, how about such and such, and it's something that you don't think of at the start, but you build to it as you go forward. Another first time chat. That's awesome. We got a lot of first time chats here tonight. So thank you everybody for coming out to the stream. Is there a way to add a slider to the amount of fouls called during a game? Sometimes there are players who have fouled all my big guys almost every game. I try to adjust my defense to least intense, but still foul out. There's nothing on a per game basis. We've been able to watch this for a while, so I will take it out of the game and just have it resim later on. Answer some of these questions. Again, I know iPrestige found it already, but if you click on the search page, season's only like a month in, so there's nobody on the trading block, but you can sort by this last column here, and that will bring up all the trade block players. Let's see, I'm talking about sliders. You can tell I'm on like no sleep from crashing to get things ready for the launch here. In the game option page, there is nothing for fouls. I knew there wasn't anything on a game basis. I didn't know if we had an option on here to turn them down or not, but just injuries, 3 points, and pace adjustment. Let's go to the commissioner's office for a minute. I want to show a couple of things here. Let me pull up the edit add player screen real quick. Just pick a random player. Here, you'll see what I was talking about the model type. You can choose models, and the numbers match the face. And so if you add faces to the game as well, you might want to add, grab these model pictures from the file folder and add some to match new faces that you add. That is how you can change that. So if you play with the default file or modded files, everybody will have this 0 as a model type initially, and then you can change it to whatever you want. And if you using fictional leagues, and new players who come in and use the fictional faces, they'll have the model type assigned already. But if you don't assign those ahead of time for the players that you start with, then you can change them on an individual basis, or you can edit the database file ahead of time. There's a model number category in there, and if somebody is ambitious and wants to do all that and provide it as a mod of the community, I'm sure the community would be very appreciative of that. One thing back on the commissioner's office, under the expansion, there's a new button that says realign teams. This is obviously not available during the season, but during the off season, you can you can use this option to swap teams on a 1-for-1 basis. So you can't change the division structure or add divisions or things like that. But if you want to say a team is relocating and you want to move them to a different conference or division during the off season, you can do a one-on-one swap here and realign your divisions as well. So that's something new to the game. Jeannie asks, assigning to existing leagues. I think when they're imported, I think I have it set to check to see if they're using the in-game faces, and then we'll assign the proper numbers. Otherwise, it will assign the default, the 0-1. It says, in terms of fouls, it's possible to edit the draw foul rating from commissioner mode. Yeah, you can. Draw foul is an offensive one. If you're worried about your players, you think they foul too much, um, you can increase their discipline. I also recommend, you could use more zone on the defensive strategies. You can switch to passive, which will have them sag more, and they won't, they won't be so prone to fouls as well. And definitely in terms of turning down your intensity, or I have the coach strategies turned on, so it's based on the head coach. But if you turn them off and use your own, you can always go to the sliders and turn down the defensive intensity way down as well as turning down full court defense and turning up zone defense. So those are all ways to kind of help avoid foul issues. So that was a lot of talking, but I just, you can tell how excited I am to be showing this off and getting this out there. The player comparison screen. This was something too that somebody asked about last. Somebody asked, could I add this to the game this year? And I was like, well, this is already in the game from last year. But if you haven't checked out that page, that's kind of a fun comparison as well. As I said on the team info page, you can change your jerseys there. Once you have a history, it'll list the championship seasons, your retired numbers. You can look and see all the players who have won awards. When you have a long-running career as well, you'll have the milestone tracker. It'll tell you who's getting in range of like 10,000 points or 5,000 assists or whatever, stuff like that. The league media screen has, a ton of stuff here. Who owns what draft picks? The league injury report, players who have won, players of the week and stuff like that. Power ranking. The magazines, which haven't changed year over year, but they're still super valuable. A ton of great information there. And of course, dig into the almanac once you have a career in history, all the draft history, the champions, all that kind of stuff. Again, this is just a quick fictional league to show off kind of some of the new stuff. So it doesn't have all the data built up yet over time, but all that is there, and there's just so much you can get into and really enjoy. Jeannie asked, did I hear you right? No adjusting divisions. No, you can adjust divisions during the off season on a 1-for-1. You can't change the number of teams in a division or the number of divisions in a conference, but you can swap one team from one division with another team in the off season. And another first time chat. I'm kind of curious what other coaches, GMs have press conferences we can look at somehow. Not that you would look at there in the news. Where is league media? In the daily news, sometimes there'll be a comment here. I don't think there's any so far in this season because it's early. Sometimes there'll be a news comment that says a GM commented on one of his players with a trade request or something like that. So you'll see some of that stuff, but not the kind of same things that you're asked in your press conferences. And the clutch shooting and dunk rating do regress, as do all the other ratings as well. And there's the most important question right there. When can we purchase the beta? About 5 minutes after the stream wraps up, I will get everything turned on in the web store. The code will be in there, SLAM, SLAM, to save 10% while first access is going on. Then you purchase it, you'll get the email with the download instructions and your license key. Put it in, fire it up, and get ready to go. So thank you, everybody, so much for coming to this stream. We had a huge amount of first-time chats. That's awesome. New followers. Thank you. We had 4 new followers tonight alone. Our subs, huge thank you to you guys who support the channel. Just a reminder, Jackson will not be here tomorrow night. There is one more new follower. Thank you for that, Rick and Rock C69. So he will not be here tomorrow night. He will be back next Wednesday to carry on his draft day dynasties. And just, hopefully we can get him to do a pro basketball dynasty too. I think he'll have a lot of fun with that. It's awesome. I mean, I'm really super excited about uh, kind of what's going on new in the game and all the new potential with the new 2D and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really happy with this year's version. For you college fans, you can expect the same stuff in college, and of course, a couple months away, but definitely we are going to continue on being the leaders in franchise mode in our basketball sims here at Wolverine Studios. I will take these last things in the chat before I wrap it up. Will we see a Victor Wembanyama archetype of player? Anything's possible. There's no specific build, so just as much of a unicorn as he seems to be, that could happen in any of your leagues. I have improved the draft depth this year. Not so much at the top of the draft. I think the top has always been pretty good, but more in the late first, second round. Ability to either find a guy who could turn out to be a better player or at least stick around on a roster, at the back of a roster, stuff like that. So that has been improved. The issue with CV players coming in from too low, that would be an issue on the CV side. I mean, it's just bringing in the players that are created there. So if not enough are coming in there, we may have to look at for CV23 increasing the amount of players that leave, or the overall value of the draft classes there. But that's not all pro basketball is doing, is pulling in what the college game exports. So if there's an issue with the talent level not being high enough on a college draft class that way, that's something I'll have to look at in the college side. And Tacoma again says he's a regular in the forum. First time checking out Twitch. Welcome. I can tell you that I am definitely not giving up this job to be a Twitch streamer anytime soon. So I know very little about Twitch and how it's working, and basically all I know is enough to get online and kind of share some of these gameplay with you guys every once in a while, and just try to connect with the community a little bit in a different way. So again, we've been an hour here, so I'm going to wrap it up and get on to the main event, which everybody's waiting for. Get that web store turned on. Get out those memes. Take my money. Show me the credit card. Get them all ready. And I will look forward to your feedback on the First Access. Again, I encourage you to check out the forum and read the First Access post. Just, again, a reminder of what's going to be happening in the next couple of weeks with it. Don't get too frustrated if you run into something that doesn't work right. That's the whole reason we're doing this, to get it all ironed out before the final release. Mod community, I'm counting on you. Let's see what you can do with all this new stuff. And thank you so much for the support. It's really awesome. I love doing this, and I love basketball, and I can't wait to get this game in your hands. So give me about 5-10 minutes, maybe a little faster if I get the web store turned on quicker. But everything will be ready to go. On site at wolverinestudios.com. Get that pre-order First Access right now. You got about 3 weeks or so of that before the final release. And let's go. Let's get it done. Let's have a great basketball season here at Wolverine Studios. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to the stream. And I will see you all in the checkout line, hopefully in a couple of minutes. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.